Joining us now, Steve Moore. He is a distinguished visiting fellow for the Project for Economic Growth at the Heritage Foundation. Alfredo Ortiz is the president CEO of Jobs Creators Network, was responsible, by the way, for getting word out on the president's tax cut bill for earlier this year. And by the way, they have been advertising on our show, and I hope you will sign taxcutsnow.com, which is their website, to make them permanent because Nancy Pelosi wants her crumbs back. Steve, let me, well, not only Nancy Pelosi, you guys are laughing, but she actually said they're crumbs and she wants them back. And by the way, Elizabeth Warren not only wants them back, then she wants to tax everybody at 50%.
Well, Sean, I saw the president about 3 or 4 weeks ago out at Mar-a-Lago. And as you know, I worked with him with Larry Kudlow on the campaign. We helped design the tax plan for him, and he was in a good mood. And I just spoke for him for a year. I said, Mr. President, these numbers that are coming out are better than we even, we drew it up on the chalkboard, Sean, and they're coming out better than we thought. We didn't think it would work this quickly, this powerfully, but it's great news. And, you could add to those numbers you were just talking about. Did you see the construction numbers are the highest they've ever been? Did you know manufacturing is the highest it's ever been in the history of this? Did you know manufacturing is the highest it's ever been in the history of this country?
By the way, how many new manufacturing jobs? Isn't it between, 3 and 500,000 or more just in manufacturing alone?
Yeah. And, if you look at from the day of the election to today, because the expansion really began the day after the election when people realized that Donald Trump was coming in and businesses are forward looking. So we've created, when you look at mining, construction, and manufacturing, those are the three kind of core blue-collar, middle-class jobs in this country. 850,000 of them have been created in those three industries alone, and we lost jobs in each of those industries under Obama.
Yeah, and Steve, and the funny thing under Obama, he's the one that said those jobs can't ever come back to the country.
Yeah,
right,
they're not coming back.
What a joke. I was in Wheeling, West Virginia yesterday with the vice president, and I'm telling you, every single one of those people in that room, they are excited about the economy coming back, manufacturing's coming back, coal's coming back, steel's coming back. It's exactly what Obama said wasn't going to happen in this country is happening right now.
He said they're not coming back. Well, if you created a business environment where they can come back, they're going to come back, and they're coming back.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. And one thing, there's two things that I know for sure. One is that deregulation works, tax cuts work, and Trump means business at the end of the day here. Yeah,
well, to what extent, I agree with Steve, what you're saying, that, we didn't expect it to happen this quickly. And the reason you thought that is because, when Reagan took over, it was a disaster. We had double-digit, interest rates, unemployment rates. It's just a fiasco. And in the case of Obama, it was just no recovery at all. And finally now you see the potential, but a lot of it is rooted in the fact that the regulations, we've gotten rid of so many of these burdensome regulations and the incentivizing of companies, and also the president, frankly, putting the pressure on these companies, build here. Stop taking your products to Mexico, because if you bring it back, we're going to tax you. Which I thought was, what? These guys do. And for the American people, I'm willing to pay even a little bit more for a Carrier air conditioner. If I get a new air conditioner, it's going to be a Carrier. These car companies that are building all over the country, I'm going to stay with those car companies.
Well, and Sean, I think what you said at the beginning, too, about Obama was that he basically declared economic surrender. Right? And leadership starts at the top. If you don't believe in your own country and what your workers can do, what your people can do, you're done. You're history. And Donald Trump from day one has believed in this country in terms of what it can do and its American workers.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know what? The people that are benefiting are the American workers, the forgotten men and women, which is what this election was all about. We forget that. There's a reason these states, Alfredo, that they went so heavily for Trump. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Not exactly the easiest states for a Republican to win. But they got so sick and disgusted over all of this, they said, forget it. We've had enough of this. They've watched entire cities like Detroit get decimated. And our industry leaving, and Pittsburgh, our steel industry. The president was speaking to them yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. And Steve and I went around the country several times, did a couple stops together talking about small businesses also. small businesses in this country were devastated under the Obama administration between over-regulation, right, too much red tape, over-taxation, and the lack of access to capital and credit. And this president, this administration has tackled all three of them, right? 22 regulations off the table for everyone introduced. Taxes at the lowest levels has been in history, really almost, for almost 40 years. And thanks a lot to really Steve's efforts, by the way. If it hadn't been for Steve Moore, this also would not have happened. So, Steve, thank you for that. But then also finally addressing the issues that Dodd-Frank created by, Dodd-Frank basically eliminated over 2,000 community banks, Sean, and that now the credit is coming back to these small business owners. And these small business owners, their optimism is sky high.
No, I think
Sean,
that's yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick point, when Donald Trump used to ask Larry Kudlow and I on the campaign, what do I do to get the economy moving? And we used to just say jokingly, but only half jokingly, just look at everything Obama has done and do the reverse, and you kind of look at it, and that's what Trump has done. Obama regulated, Trump is deregulating. Obama taxed. Donald Trump is cutting the taxes and getting the obstacles out of the way. And the kind of animal spirits of the economy are so powerful. And I got to tell you, I'm so happy to do this interview with you today because I spent all morning on, as you know, I'm with fake news now. I have to do CNN, and they had the hardest time this morning trying to figure out try to put a bad spin on these Austin numbers. It was just,
what were you drinking the day you signed that contract? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I am regretting it but it's kind of fun to watch them try to, say, well, this is one guy said, this is really Obama's effect, the Obama effect. I said, yes, the effect that Obama isn't president anymore.
Yeah, listen, well, and Alfredo, this is an important question because I know that you're advertising on the show. And we really do appreciate your support, but it's an important message. And that is that the Democrats do want to rescind these tax cuts. Their agenda is clear. They want to impeach the president. They want their crumbs back. They want to eliminate ICE, open borders. That's not good for the American worker either. And then on top of that, they want to end all regulation, and they want to keep Obamacare. That's all they run on. There's nothing else that they're offering the American people. And if we rescind the tax cuts, then we put back the regulations, then there goes all the economic gains we've just made.
Yeah, Sean, absolutely. I mean, and that's the craziest part of all. Nancy Pelosi's promising to repeal the tax cuts. Chuck Schumer's promising to repeal the tax cuts. Elizabeth Warren is promising to repeal the tax cuts. And frankly, she's saying, hey, 50% plus is actually pretty decent. I mean, I don't know what kind of world they've operated in, but we obviously saw what happened when Obama was in charge. And that's the environment and the overall economic, prosperity wasn't even in their vocabulary. And now they are trying to repeal it. It makes absolutely no sense. And, I think this is one of the things that we're trying to get out there on our taxcutswork.com site is really the knowledge of what's actually happening, the real news, because, Steve, you said your best. CNN is struggling to try to figure out how to actually put a bad spin on this. There is no bad spin. The numbers are working. The efforts are working. And what the president has done, he understands how business actually operates. And he's putting things in place. And Sean, we even did an op-ed today that talked a little bit about the tariffs, because I know there's been a lot of conversation about that. But, the president is acting on the tariffs right now, not just for tariffs' sake, but he's really trying to fix what was a broken system for years and years now, decades, in fact. Really, and this is the time to do it, right? When times are good, that's when a business person invests back in their business. And that's what President Trump is doing, is investing back in our country. And this is the time to do it. When you have 4.1% GDP growth rate, that's when you can take a little bit of flexibility and invest back by doing these kinds of things that he knows are temporary. He doesn't want tariffs, right? In his ideal world, there will be no tariffs at all.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll pick it up from there as we come back and continue. But final thoughts as we get from Alfredo Ortiz, president and CEO of the Job Creators Network, and our friend Steve Moore, who's a distinguished visiting fellow for the Project for Economic Growth at Heritage. Final thoughts, Alfredo?
Sean, bottom line is in November, we have a very, very important election because it's going to be the difference between the type of prosperity that we are seeing today, that we are experiencing today when we saw that 4.1% number. Donald Trump and this administration and this Congress understands what it takes to move things forward and to create positive growth in our economy. If we lose control of the House, that will all go away. So we urge folks to understand what's going on, get out there and vote, and we got to make sure that we vote for the free enterprise system, which we are seeing working now.
Steve, last word.
Oh, these numbers just make you proud to be an American, don't they, Sean? I mean, we got, as Trump said today, and he borrowed this line from the Wall Street Journal, the American economy today is the envy of the world. And it hasn't been that since the Reagan years. And what it really proves, Sean, is that ideas have consequences. You put in place pro-business, pro-growth policies, and they make a big difference for Americans. Incidentally, this is the first businessman president we've had in a long, long time, and it really shows.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both. Stephen Moore, thank you. Alfredo Ortiz, thank you. 800-941-SEAN, Dinesh D'Souza. And yeah, our Florida Georgia Line Friday concert.